Sleep is a very interesting thing. So there was a point in time where I wanted to basically optimize my sleep to the point where I could achieve maximum energy levels for better productivity with the least amount of time being asleep needed. For this reason, I decided to get myself the Oura Ring to track my sleep just so that I could actually look at data, see what's going on, and see where I can start making improvements. I've been using the Oura Ring now for about, let's see, September, so that's about 9 months-ish, I would say. And it's allowed me to get a better picture of my sleep, get a better view of the things that improve my sleep and the things that actually affect my sleep. As I've gotten older, I realized that sleep is a very important thing. When you're young, you can get by with very little sleep, and there's times where you will just, it warrants you not getting that much sleep, maybe because you're having a good time, you're out enjoying yourself, life happens. Sometimes you're gonna have to make do with less sleep. But knowing when to, let's say, insert these pockets of little sleep is what I've found to be extremely helpful, which is why, at least when it comes to tracking has definitely helped me assess overall the quality of the recovery that I'm getting, and then when I can actually sacrifice a little bit of sleep to get some extra hours from my day. So, like I said, the main intent when I started wearing the Oura Ring was just to get data, right? I like measuring things, I like tracking things and just seeing, okay, these are my stats, how can I improve them? And I was aware before I started using the Oura Ring that there were a few certain things or just habits in general that are not optimal for good sleep quality. For example, I drink a fuck ton of coffee. I average like 6 cups a day, spread throughout the whole day. My bedtime is skewed, let's say, towards the early morning, meaning I'll go to bed between midnight and 1 a.m. and wake up like 8:30-ish on most days. That's like my tendency, that's like my natural rhythm when it comes to sleep. But of course, there's things like going to bed earlier, waking up earlier, optimal times for, let's say, hormone and just general bodily functions that take place during the midpoint of your sleep when it should be around 2 to 3 a.m. Things that are not in line with a sleep rhythm of midnight to 8 a.m., for example. So tracking, measuring, seeing what was going on, and identifying how essentially can I tweak my habits to maximize the productivity I get for the sleep that I get. So to this point, I've realized now that I've tried different experiments, one being caffeine. Like I said, I consume a lot of coffee, I consume a lot of caffeine, and I've tried many different things. I've tried quitting cold turkey, I've tried cutting the dose in half, I've tried keeping caffeine to before 2 p.m., everything that is recommended to get better sleep. And at least when it comes to the impact that has on my numbers, on my Oura Ring numbers, specifically my deep sleep, I found that maybe I've built up enough of a tolerance to caffeine to the point where it does not matter if I don't drink caffeine at all during the day. If I stop drinking coffee before 2 p.m. or if I have a cup of coffee at 10 p.m. and then go to sleep 2 or 3 hours later, it doesn't really impact my deep sleep that much, surprisingly. Now, you could argue that the number says one thing, but really I'm not getting that deep, restful sleep. But to be honest, I also base it off how I feel the day after and in general during the day. And I feel much, much better when I'm drinking coffee throughout the day. And even if I were to have a cup close to my bedtime or at nighttime, the next day I wake up fine, refreshed, or at least my baseline is good enough to where I don't feel a negative effect. So that was experiment number one. Second thing I tried was hitting, let's say, playing around with the amount of hours of sleep I get. So naturally or normally my habit, the one that I shoot for, is to always get at least 7 hours of sleep. The reason for this is because I found this is the number where If I get less, I start to notice a slight decrease in performance. If I get less than 7 hours, it could be in my energy levels throughout the day. I'll maybe start feeling a bit tired throughout the day, or it might affect my performance in the gym, for example. When I get at least 7 hours, normally I consider that like my baseline, not optimal, but pretty above average function for me on a day-to-day basis. I can do most shit, go to the gym, high energy levels, no tiredness whatsoever. Now, I've also experimented with getting extra hours. Of course, the recommended 8 hours or more than that, yada yada. So I'm 30 now, and it is true that I've noticed that sleep has definitely become more important now. I used to be able to get away with a lot less sleep when I was younger. Now, if I've been sleeping 7+ hours at least for a few days in a row, then I can have one day where I can get away with 4, 5. But if I start to do that consistently, then I'm just gonna completely crash and I'll end up sleeping for like 12 hours to make up for it. And I just notice it, right? It's harder for me to overcome that lack of sleep at this age now. But still, if needed, there's times where maybe I'm so energized, so hyped up because of what I'm doing, or just my mind is running, creative juices are flowing, and I wanna get some work done. And if I'm not tired, let's say if I'm in flow at midnight, I'll keep going. Or if I just woke up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. because I couldn't sleep anymore, and I feel like, damn, my mind's already running, I'll jump right into it. But still, that being said, so when I tried with higher times, let's say 8 hours, 9 hours, I do notice the benefits mostly physical, not just mental, right? With 7 hours, I feel refreshed mentally. But when I get 8 hours and above, that's when I feel like my body is just like, damn, I could go hype up, run a marathon. I'm ready to whatever. Let's go run 10K, do 500 burpees, 500 pull-ups. I feel amazing. Very few, let's say, aches, or if I've been working out, I feel like, damn, I feel refreshed. If I had DOMs, that typically helps a lot just to get anything above 8 hours of sleep does really help the most. I've noticed with physical, with how my body feels. Essentially, I still feel sharp, but that's the best that's the best I feel when it comes to just physically. Experiments to optimize this, because I've noticed that regardless of the amount of time that I sleep, whether it's 7 hours, 8 hours, or 9 hours, the most important thing that I've learned is the deep sleep that I get, because deep sleep is what actually physically your body recovers. And I also started looking into things that impact my deep sleep and improve my deep sleep. Tried a bunch of different things. Like I said, the caffeine, that one I noticed didn't really have that much of an impact. Alcohol does mess up my deep sleep for sure. That's one thing I've noticed that without fail will always fuck it up. Smoking cigars, I've noticed it does not, despite, being the nicotine and everything. I thought it was gonna have like an effect where it would keep me jittery or hyped up. It doesn't really affect it that much, so that's cool. But the thing that I have noticed that I've tweaked the most, that had the most impact, is the food I eat during the later part of the day is what I've noticed. So if I eat like a big meal, and it depends on what types of foods, right? Because one is how big the meal is, because then your body's gonna be digesting the whole food while you're sleeping, and then it takes time. It has to finish digestion before deep sleep actually begins. But I've also noticed when it's these types of food that cause like bloating, or your body doesn't handle that well, those in particular are the ones that affect my deep sleep levels the most. For example, something I cut off of my diet completely has been bread. I like, sandwiches. It's a fucking sandwich, right? I used to eat sandwiches, that was like my midnight snack, just sandwich, couple fried eggs, some peanut butter, boom. But I've noticed that bread is a particular food that always causes me to bloat. And that is something that, for some reason, if I had a sandwich and I went to sleep, like maybe an hour or two afterwards, the effect it had on my deep sleep was significantly greater than if I ate, let's say, just 3 to 4 scrambled eggs with some bacon at 11 p.m. It would, I don't know why, because typically carbs do help a lot to get you feel sleepy and sleep better. But certain foods like my body just doesn't handle that well, they affected it so much, it just completely ended up cutting them out, essentially. And instead, foods that I know that I feel, the way I measure what types of food is to consume or not before bed, if it's a food, type of food or meal that if I eat, I feel like heavy, then I can't eat that. If it's something that I eat and I can still feel comfortable enough to go for a walk, go for a jog, and I don't feel like I have to wait an hour till the food settles, that's the best one that I found, that I can eat and then a few hours later, 1 or 2 hours, go to sleep, and my numbers will be perfect. Well, not perfect, but they'll be pretty good. So that's been the biggest thing. Being consistent with the time, like I said, my preference is always to go to sleep midnight and wake up at around 8. I've noticed that, let's say that's 8-hour window. If I shift that, meaning I go to sleep, let's say at 2 a.m. and I wake up at 10, I still got my 8 hours, but my numbers typically suffer if I shift it towards the later part of the morning. But if I do the reverse, where let's say I go to sleep at 10 and I wake up at 6 or 7, my numbers do show a positive increase when I do that. That's also another thing that I've noticed. Thing is, of course, naturally, I always want to, at 10, I'm rarely ever sleepy. Naturally, I always want to go to bed around midnight. But the times that I force myself to go to sleep earlier, I have noticed positive effects from that. So yeah, these are all experiments, just observations that I've made on myself, just from tracking and just realizing that I want to be able to function properly, right? Everything I do, or at least the pursuit of my goals, are all going to depend on my energy levels. And I need to take care of myself to have high energy to pursue my goals. That's why I got obsessed with sleep in recent years, or at least in the past year, just to be more aware of what's going on and not, guess, basically. And it's paid off. I can't really complain. I have at least a better idea of my body. It has helped me learn more about that particular area of my body. I know a lot of people don't really like the Oura Ring or any sleep tracking device in general because they get obsessed. And sure, there's a few numbers, not numbers, but warnings that they'll come up when it's a night that I don't get enough rest, or maybe I slept 6 hours, 5 hours. It'll say, whoa, take it easy, you might not have a good day. The app says some shitty messages like that. I don't let that affect me still. I don't, because there's been times where I'll sleep 5 hours and I feel amazing. So I know there's people that are maybe more prone or just affected by those little messages. I don't let that deter my day, really. What has to get done will get done. But yeah, if it's something that is an issue for you, then consider alternatives is what I can say. I don't have any for you right now. I will look for some so that I can actually provide a solution instead of pointing out the problem. But yeah, anyways, that's been just a video. Wanted to share just a quick, I don't know, it's been a while since I made a video on an Oura Ring. It's not a formal review, but I just wanted to share just my experience, I guess, from using the ring, and at least what I expected to get out of it, what I've been using it for, and how it's helped me. I plan to make more videos about health-related experiments that I've done. And another one coming soon is gonna be about TRT, so stay tuned for that one. But in the meantime, this is it for this video. As always, thank you for watching if you made it this far. I appreciate it, and I will catch you on the next one.